What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to talk about some Destiny 2 stuff. So I'm going to round up all of the info we have about Reveal Week for the Warmind DLC. On top of this though, we have extra updates and insights on some of the exotic buffs that we've seen, and new previews that we're going to be seeing soon. There is a conversation about power level changes that we're going to be seeing in Warmind and how that will affect different types of players, including solo players. We have details on what you can expect from the Bungie Summit as a player, and I also have something really cool to share with you guys, kindly sent over to me by Quersus Chairs. We'll check that out in a moment. For now though, let's get into the video. So at this point, I think most people know that we'll be getting Warmind, the next DLC, on May the 8th. This is what Bungie have to say about it. So on May 8th, with the beginning of Season 3, we're also launching the second expansion to Destiny 2. It's called Warmind, and it will send you to new places to meet new heroes and battle new enemies. You'll earn new loot and master new activities. We know you have a lot of questions about it. Your answers will arrive in our next reveal stream on April 24th. Developers from Bungie will be on the hot seats, along with some representatives from our new partners at Vicarious Visions, to talk about this new adventure that we created together. Join us April 24th at 10 AM PDT on Twitch to see Warmind and Season 3. So bear in mind that time, 10 AM PDT, that will be 6 PM here in the UK. If you want to catch up with that as it happens, Bungie will also be showing the trailer. On top of this, we can expect some new gameplay from some of the folks who are actually at the Bungie event right now. I will be covering absolutely everything that you'll want to know about this DLC, and I'll have content going up pretty much as soon as Bungie begins streaming on Tuesday. So stay tuned here on the channel, and I'll have all the details for you guys. But moving on, of course, Bungie have teased quite a few exotic updates that will be coming inside of the May update alongside the expansion. Somebody did ask Josh Hamrick, are all exotic weapons getting a passover for retuning or just some? And Josh Hamrick said a large batch. And of course, we've heard that quite a few weapons are going to be looked at. Somebody commented and said, I would like to see what you guys did with Sweet Business next, and Cosmo replied, it's not next, but we'll get to it. So we will be seeing more exotic previews, perhaps in a similar format to what we have so far. Maybe we'll have to wait until next week with the reveal stream. But Sweet Business is going to be a very interesting one. It is a relatively powerful weapon already, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of functional changes they may bring to the weapon. On top of this, it seems like exotic masterworks are actually going to be very influential. In reference to the Rat King, which Bungie showed off yesterday, this is of course now full auto with the new buff. There are a whole bunch of other changes I did make a video about yesterday, but John Wisniewski teased that the Masterwork upgrade for Rat King is going to put a tasty garnish on the meal that you won't want to miss out on. And that kind of suggests that there could be, a curated element with the Masterworks for exotics. Instead of being a baseline stat that can randomly roll, it might be a specific perk or ability that they add to the weapon. But yesterday we did see the new Skyburner's Oath, which looks pretty insane. Somebody asked John Wisniewski, it looks like the beefy explosive rounds happen both hipfire and ADS. Am I seeing it or reading it incorrectly? John Wisniewski said correct. So when you actually look at the weapon fire, you can see that you do get the explosive rounds whether you're aiming down sights or hip firing the weapon, but there is increased tracking, I believe, on the explosive rounds when you're hip firing. It's going to be very interesting to see how this thing handles. My pal Cool Guy also asked a pretty good question. Will the For the Empire perk be staying the same on the Skyburner's Oath? The extra damage to Cabal and penetrates the Phalanx shield, and John Wisniewski said yep. So in that instance, the exotic trait will actually, still be there. And again, in reference to teases of seeing more previews, John Wisniewski did say, more holy shit is headed your way soon. Moving on though, yesterday Bungie announced that they're actually making some changes to power level. On top of this, they announced that there is a new hard cap of 380, and that's going to mean that the maximum power level inside of Warmind will be 385 with mods. They also added that raids and trials will grant the largest increases, clan engrams provide a very small increase, and the other weekly sources will fall between those two. Players who don't participate in any group weekly activities are unlikely to hit the hard cap before the next release, and dedicated omnivore players will hit it before players that just play raids or trials. So essentially they're promoting variety. The more different types of stuff that you play, the more likely you are to actually hit that max level. But there has been some feedback and concerns about this. So one person did say, great step in the right direction. Now if we can just get rid of the laughably easy milestones, the 3 heroic strikes, I'm looking at you, and this will be fantastic. And Daniel Out from Bungie replied, I think this actually helps those feel better. They're useful and fun and give you progress to work on, but if you only do those, it's going to take a lot longer. There were also some other feedback points. Somebody said, I'm not happy about it, I don't raid often, and I despise trials. I put a ton of hours into the game, but won't hit max level. Without a proper avenue for solo players and small groups, it's going to suck. LFG is not a proper avenue, and guided games is even worse. Andrew Hobbs from Bungie said, as the TWAB details, weekly rituals will get you to the hard cap. Raids and trials are not the only way, they will simply provide the largest power increase reward. And Daniel came in again and said, yes, without raid and trials it's going to take longer. Players that aren't omnivores can totally make progress, they'll just be slower than players that chase down every possible reward source. So they're kind of trying to ease the concerns, especially of, I think, solo players. There's a lot of anxiety around this. I think to a degree it probably harks back to the earlier days of D1 as well, you know, where if you weren't running raids and trials, you definitely weren't going to get to that max level. For now, it's hard to really say how this is going to pan out exactly. I do totally understand those concerns. There's also a level where Bungie want to make power level more influential. Some people have said, you know, you're kind of making the power level harder to obtain, but it isn't necessarily that influential in the game. But it's also worth remembering Bungie do have some updates to difficulty going into this update. They did say that they're changing their outgoing player damage scaling versus higher level combatants to be steeper to make them more difficult, similar to Destiny. As a result, higher level combatants will take longer to kill than they currently do, but if you're at or above their level, you can still melt them like you've come to love with update 1.1.4, so essentially in the current sandbox. So on the whole, you know, at the top end, content will be quite a bit more difficult if you're not at a competitive power level. However, when you do get to the higher power levels, you're going to notice a more substantial difference between those two different things. And essentially the power difference between, you know, say 350 and 385 should be quite a bit more noticeable than it is currently in the sandbox. So it's worth bearing in mind that these changes are meant to synchronize. On top of this, we may have other loot systems and things influencing this inside of the expansion. So it's kind of an evolving picture right now, but when you put it all together, it does start to make sense. But let me know your thoughts about that, guys. Like I said, there is some mixed feedback about it. I think a lot of the hardcore players are pretty pleased to hear it. I personally think it's a better direction for Destiny to go in, but I'm not saying that players shouldn't be able to hit higher levels, you know, because they can't complete certain activities. And from what Bungie is saying, that isn't intended to be the case either. But we'll have to see how it plays out. Again, let me know your thoughts below. Now, for the Bungie Summit, there's been a lot of conversation about this. Various people are actually over at Bungie right now, and I know quite a few folks in the community have been sort of curious as to what this means as a player and any news that we might expect from this event. And Deej said Thursday and Friday will be honored and humbled to host a small but insightful sample of the community here in our studio. They'll be here giving us their opinions on our goals and our plans. And we want you to know that this is not the only way we're gathering feedback about Destiny 2. These are not the only people that we're listening to about the game. Deej does say this isn't a marketing event. There will be no reveals this week. We're not streaming while they're here, and they won't have a wealth of news to report once our time is over. They'll be welcome to report on the mood from the gathering and to tell you what they told us, but we'd ask you not to press them for promises on what the state of Destiny 2 will be in months to come. That's work that will still fall to us, and there is plenty of time for those things to find their final form. Next week, if they want to, they'll be able to share some of their own content from the next expansion. In terms of the stuff going down the road, it is going to be pretty confidential, and the content that you're most likely to see from people is going to be, you know, early gameplay for the Warmind expansion and things like that. So I suppose it's worth setting your expectations accordingly. A couple of final things. There's been a lot of positive feedback about 6v6 inside of D2 with the Iron Banner arriving this week. There have been quite a few suggestions from folks to make it a permanent mode, and Cosmo said he's glad to hear that folks are enjoying it, and he'll pass along feedback that people would like to see it as a permanent mode. And to be honest, that could be on the cards for sometime in the near future anyway. I think the fact that they ran this Iron Banner as a 6v6 is a sort of very fast, large-scale experiment and test as to, you know, how this is going to work and what kind of feedback they get. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about 6v6 below. But guys, the last thing I want to show you is actually something pretty awesome sent over to me by Quercus Chairs. So they kindly sent me one of their awesome chairs. This model is the V502. Just wanted to share it with you guys. It's actually a really smart chair. I'll be completely honest, I'm not a sort of gaming chair buff whatsoever, but I have had a couple of different chairs, and in terms of quality and comfort, this one absolutely stacks up. On top of this though, they actually sent over an embroidered houndish cushion to go with this chair, which is really, really cool. And I'm honestly pretty impressed with the chair. So if you want to check out more of the Quercus chairs online, I will leave the link to their website in the description below. Gotta say a big thanks to Luke from Quercus and Quercus themselves for sending this over. I'll also link Quercus UK on Twitter. Be sure to drop them a follow. If you're after a gaming chair, I definitely recommend it. But guys, that is going to summarize the video. Quite a bit of stuff to talk about once again. Let me know your thoughts on any of it down in the comment section. If you have enjoyed the video, a like is appreciated. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more Destiny 2 content going forward. For now though, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you guys very soon.